let's talk about licensing requirements because that has a big part of it, right?
Yeah.
Most neighborhoods, when you're starting a facility like this, uh, let me back up one more step. In Texas, you can have up to 3 residents without a license. Okay, so you can have 3 residents and provide care and do all that stuff, no licensing oversight. 3 is not good for what I want to do because I am not interested in running the day to day, right?
Right.
If you had enough rooms, which in my case would be 6, you can have up to 6 residents. Your facility has to be licensed now, so you can have up to 6 in regular, normal neighborhoods, residential
Yep.
neighborhoods.
Got it.
To have more than that, your property needs to be either zoned multifamily or zoned commercial.
Oh, okay.
So you can't be in a regular neighborhood with regular residential zoning and have more than 6 where I live. Now that could
Mm,
be different based on, wherever jurisdiction it is that covers that certain area. Because
okay.
it's not only the licensing from, the assisted living, but it also has to do with, city ordinances and fire marshal and all that stuff. There's a few
Hmm.
different balls you need to juggle in order to figure that aspect of it out. So if I'm looking for somewhere where I can start a 16 bed facility, I need it to be, I'm happy to look at a house that is on a bigger lot that is zoned multifamily or commercial. I
Okay.
would prefer it to be within 5 minutes of a hospital or at least, 2 hospitals or somewhere because that is a selling point, right?
Right.
I can tell residents like, hey, the hospital's down the street. If something happens, the hospital's right here. It's a selling point not only is it a selling point, I don't want to make it sound like I'm just trying to do marketing here, but it's helpful if you need to send a resident to a hospital that they're right there
Yeah.
because often I have personal care for my residents. So if one of my residents ends up in the hospital being admitted and staying, I'll go visit them. And I don't want to be driving 2 hours to go to a hospital. I would
Right.
rather go 5 minutes down the street, right?
Yeah,
So
makes sense.
if I was looking for property, that's what I would look for. I'm I'm open to looking for a house or sometimes uh, a daycare, an adult daycare center or something like that is
Hmm.
being remodeled or
Oh,
something.
yeah.
Those
Okay.
things are
Yeah.
all things I would be interested in. I would not be
Just get a
interested in,
mall.
yeah, for sure. I
One of those
personally
old
would
malls.
not be interested in a lot, but I'm not opposed to it. If a lot came up and
Okay.
it checked all the boxes, I would be interested because I have a construction background. I've seen this sort of thing being built out before, and I have no
Right.
problems doing that. That is not an approach for a beginner. There's a lot of
Right.
hurdles there to jump through. It's not
Yeah.
like building a house. So this is not
Yes.
building a regular 3 bedroom, 2 bath house. We're talking about,
Right.
16 bedrooms, an office or two, a huge common area, possibly 16 half baths, 2 common showers, a laundry facility, a larger kitchen facility. It's a bigger project, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, can that be done can you turn a residential single family house into something bigger if the zoning is right? Sure.
Yeah.
I've done that lots of times where you take a smaller house and you do an addition and you build it out to spec to what you want it to. Sure, that can be
Right.
done too. The critical piece is the zoning,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
If you're
Makes
not zoned
sense.
properly, now, can you rezone? Sure. Is it an easy process? No. Can it be
Yeah.
done? Yes. But those are extra hurdles to jump through. Um, and the other thing you have to think about is if you're trying to rezone something, um, you have to contend with your neighbors. And your
Yeah.
neighbors are going to show up to the hearings and say, we don't want this built in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
There's going to be excess traffic. There's going to be all sorts of stuff. So that's another layer of complexity. It's much easier if it's already zoned how you need it to be. When you show up to the hearings and the city officer, whatever he is, says, all the time, this is what always happens. This is always the dialogue. We hear these people are going to build a residential care facility here. The city manager will say, yes, they're allowed to do that. Well, how many beds can they build here? And if it's zoned multifamily or commercial, the city manager will say, like 60 beds. And then they'll turn to you and they're like, well, how many beds are you going to build? And I'll say 16. And they'll be like, okay, that sounds good. Because nobody wants a 60-bed facility built in their
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
So it's a great way to be like, hey, neighbors, I see what you're talking about. I'm not going to go crazy here. We're going to
We're
build
not
something
going
that's
there.
it's
Yeah.
going to fit the neighborhood. It's not going to stick out like a sore thumb. So it's much easier when it's already zoned like that.